Did you know that actually having multiple credit cards is not going to hurt your credit score? And it is actually something that is okay with your credit score to have multiple credit cards. You could have 5, 10, 15 credit cards with over, let's say, $50,000 of credit available to you, and that's not going to hurt your credit score. It could actually potentially help your credit score in the long run. One of the challenges when it comes to owning multiple credit cards is the fact that there's multiple different billing cycles. Now, one way you can get ahead of multiple different billing cycles is just simply logging into that app, making sure to have each of your credit cards on automatic payments so that when that billing comes up, that it's paying off the full statement balance of that credit card every single month. And that way you don't even have to think about it. Now, also when you're doing that, you do want to make sure that you are not going over the suggested limit of 30% credit utilization. Now, let's say you had a credit card with $1,000 credit limit. And yes, I'm doing $1,000 credit limit because it makes it for easy math, okay? So 30% of the $1,000 is $300. So within a statement period, make sure that you are not going over $300 so that you are not going over 30% utilization on that credit card. That's going to set you up to be able to get the best credit score with the different credit cards that you have available to you. When it comes to using a credit card correctly, you want to make sure that you are paying it off in full every single month and you're not keeping a balance on that credit card. Here's the thing, the average American actually has $5,934 in credit card debt. And let me tell you, this is the exact opposite of what you want to be doing. If you find yourself in a situation where you actually have debt that you are not paying off on your credit cards, that's going from one statement to the next, that means you're going to be paying interest on that debt. And it's an extremely high interest. When you go to apply for a credit card, it can be anywhere between 15% to the upper 20%, 25%, somewhere around in that range is where you can find yourself for paying interest on this credit card, which means that a balance that could have cost you just $1 could end up costing you several dollars by the time you actually end up paying it off. So it's very important that you are actually not putting yourself in that situation, that you are not finding yourself with a balance on your credit cards, but you are paying them off in full every single month so that when it's reported to the credit bureaus, it's shown that you are paying off your balances in full, that you are not overutilizing your credit, that you're keeping it at 30% or below. And by doing so, you are going to increase your credit score slowly but surely, and that's going to put you in a better position than the average American is finding themselves when it comes to credit cards. Now, one thing also that can be difficult is simply keeping up with them. I had a credit card that actually had a fee on it that I didn't even realize was on it, and it was on it for several months, and then I started getting late fees on said credit card, and it became a whole thing where I finally looked into it and saw that the credit card actually had like a $50 or $100 bill on it when it wasn't supposed to have any sort of bill on it. And so then I called up my credit card company, and they were gracious enough to actually forgive it and to let it go because it was the first time this had ever happened to me. It's not necessarily always the way that it happens, and it can hurt your credit score if you're not keeping up with them. This is something that can happen when you have a lot of credit cards and if you don't routinely check in on those credit cards. It really does just depend on how you want to use the credit cards as to how many credit cards in particular are going to be best for you. In my particular situation, I have multiple credit cards. I do enjoy getting new credit cards to have more access to other cash back than what I already have. And so that's something to take into consideration, is how you actually spend money on your credit cards. The one thing to keep in mind is don't be like the average American who has almost $6,000 in credit card debt, and you'll find yourself in a good position when it comes to owning multiple credit cards. Now, when you own multiple credit cards, you also want to understand how to considerably increase your credit limit. Well, I talk about that here in this video where I go in depth about how you can considerably increase your credit limit, and I look forward to seeing you there. Now, this has been Zach helping you with your finances, and I'll see you next time.